my NFL Network analyst compadre. Certainly this time of year, every single thing that he says gets picked apart and listened to. He is Daniel Jeremiah. Good to see you, sir. How you doing, bud?
It's going to be fun.
Isn't it, though? That's what you said to me when we first saw each other just moments ago. Because so many of these kids that are going to be picked in the top 10 are bold-faced names from Saturday. You've heard of all these guys. You pretty much have.
Name brand programs, name brand players. They've all played in big games on big stages. So everybody's familiar with them, and that means everybody's entrenched with an opinion, a strong opinion, one way or the other. It's going to be fun.
Right. And as I said in hour number one, as soon as I saw Darnold follow Rosen, I immediately called you. Yeah. If you notice, that's the way it went.
Like
I called you right away. I'm like, you got to come in, and the Honda Insider Report with Daniel Jeremiah starts right here and right now. Answer the poll question. What do you think the Browns should do first overall with those three choices?
Well, look,
those are the three choices, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think when you look at it, to me, Barkley is the best player in the draft. They have to take a quarterback, no question. If you want to cross your fingers and hope that maybe there's a run on quarterbacks, you could see Barkley at 4. If you want to trade back in, which they could easily, probably have to go up one spot, which remember they did it a long time ago with Kellen Winslow, moving up one spot for him. There's some precedent there. They have so many picks. I think they could still get the best player in the draft as well as the quarterback, but they have to go quarterback first. And for me, it really comes down to Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold. I lean right now more towards Darnold than I do to Rosen. A couple things. Number one, I've seen Darnold do things that Rosen can't do in terms of getting out of some trouble. When you watch him, I don't know if people understand, this USC offensive line, Rich, was terrible. I was at that Cotton Bowl. He got hit repeatedly, each and every play. And you go back and watch the cut-ups of 3rd and 6+ throws. I saw a lot more pressure on Darnold than I did on Rosen. And Darnold can get away from some of that. He can survive and get outside of that. He can make every throw. The turnovers, you gotta sort through that. Rosen, if you just want a pure passer where they are right now, step in day one, Rosen's ahead. But his kind of inability to create once things, you get a free rusher, which you're going to see each and every Sunday, that to me is my hang up there with Rosen.
So you're saying Rosen's more of the pocket passer?
Pure pocket passer, no question. He's a decent athlete. When he takes off, he can go get you some yards. But just being able to maneuver and make that free rusher miss, Darnold's on another level with me. And I think Darnold can evolve and grow into being the passer that Rosen is right now.
Now, my concern watching that Cotton Bowl, was that, and I understand the offensive line was bad.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that front seven that the Ohio State brought with Schiano dialing it up, I mean, you just kind of saw what Darnold's going to see on Sundays this fall. And not only was that difficult for him to handle protection-wise, it looked like he couldn't figure out what was coming his way at all. But when it came time to score fast, you even said where's the tempo on this offense?
Yeah, that's a coaching thing to me, which I did not understand.
And then I responded to you by saying, well, there is a tempo of him getting to the line, looking over, waiting 20 seconds, looking one more time, and saying hike. That's not a concern for you as an evaluator?
To me, I think almost maybe some of that was the reason why he ended up coming out. I don't know. I thought for sure year 2, with what he did last year, they would give him the keys to the car a little bit more, which they clearly didn't. I mean, you're down 3 scores in that game, and they're at such a slow pace. He's looking to the sidelines. I wish they would have put the game more in his hands. That's another topic. I mean, that whole game is a long discussion. When I went back and I was at the game. When I went back and watched it, Rich, their interior 3 offensive line just got crushed. He had pressure up the middle on him all game long, and I can pull out 12 to 15 throws he made in that game, as impressive as you'll ever see. Threw for 350 yards. They just got down the red zone and bogged down. It wasn't like they couldn't move the football. To me, the biggest issue with Sam is the fumbles. And to me, there's some coachable things on there. His offhand comes off the ball a lot inside the pocket. You can coach that. You can get better there. And I think some people look at the raw number of fumbles. When I sort it, and what you can do with technology is great, and I can watch all these fumbles, some of them are on a mesh on a zone read. Like, that's not, is it the running back? Is it the quarterback? One of them's on a lateral back. It's a swing pass to Ronald Jones. He drops the ball. He doesn't fall on it. Mm-hmm. That goes in Sam Darnold's turnover category. So I think he can clean up the things he needs to clean up. His ability, you watch him against Washington, against those 3 NFL DBs we talked about in the draft last year. He tore them up. The big stage with the Rose Bowl, he tore up Penn State. Texas this year when they had to make plays late in the game, he did it. So I've seen him do it. I know he can do it.
So when it's all said and done, Daniel Jeremiah here in the Honda Insider Report on the Rich Eisen Show, you have no problem with him coming out?
No, I mean, look, I can make a case he can go back. He can work on some of those things I talked about, footwork-wise, protecting the football. But I also think you go to the next level, you put him with an NFL coach who's going to scheme around his ability.
Is Hugh Jackson that coach?
I think he'd be a good fit in that system.
You do?
I mean, I think he's a supersized, better version of Andy Dalton, and we saw Andy Dalton have tremendous success under Hugh Jackson. He's a much better, more talented player than Andy Dalton, but has some of that movement ability that Hugh would like.
What about the idea that I've been positing on Twitter and on this show that the Browns take Darnold at 1, if that's their quarterback, and then with all the picks that Sashi Brown and Jonah Hill and all those people left over, they call up Dave Gettleman and make him the offer he can't refuse and say, drop down to 4 and take all these other picks, and we move up to 2 and get Saquon Barkley. Do you think that's feasible? Do you think that would happen?
I don't even think they'd have to go to 2, though.
Why?
Because I think the Giants, when you look at it from a Giants standpoint, this is a team with multiple Super Bowls. There's a lot of pride inside that organization. Dave Gettleman was there during those years. And having been my time in Baltimore, where we had our expectations and what we expected year in, they're viewing this year as a complete aberration. In their mind, they're thinking, we're never going to be picking up here ever again. We have to get our quarterback for when Eli's done right now. I'd be shocked if the Giants do not take a quarterback at 2, which means Indianapolis there at 3 is the landing spot for the running back. And when you look at how bad that roster is and a young GM and a new coach coming in, I think they'd be a prime candidate to say, hey, we'll slide back 1 spot and give us some extra picks.
Well, so if the Giants did do this trade anyway, though, then wouldn't the Colts go ahead and would the Colts then trade out for whoever wanted Rosen? Is that what you're saying?
We're going to find out what the Colts' philosophy is at the running back position, because some teams are going to look at Gurley and Fournette and the success they've had.
Zeke too?
Exactly. We can take a premier running back right now. Yeah. Another team's going to look and say, who led the league in rushing this year? Kareem Hunt. I can find this draft is loaded at the position.
So who's that loaded at the position at quarterback who could be in that 2nd-round pick that teams can sort of wait and choose somebody else, top 5, top 10?
Well, I think you've got 4 quarterbacks that are separate from everybody else. When you look at, we've talked about Darnold, we've talked about Rosen. Josh Allen is going to go way up there, supremely talented, the highest ceiling of any of these guys.
Is he Wentz 2.0?
I don't think he's as polished as a passer as Wentz was coming out.
Okay.
He's got, as crazy it is, he's got more upside. And they're talking about Wentz is the MVP of the league if he's healthy.
Yeah.
But you look at Josh Allen has a stronger arm. He's even a better athlete. As good as we've seen Carson Wentz as an athlete, he's bigger. Wentz is more polished and more poised, and you know what you're getting. Wentz's floor coming out was much higher than Josh Allen's. Josh Allen has rare tools. But to me, that's why I look at the Giants. And I know some people think that's too early for Josh Allen. I think it could be a perfect thing for him because you've got Eli Manning for the next couple of years. You don't have to play him. He's built to play in that
so
kind
Wentz
of weather.
2.0 against Wentz 1.0.
Could be in the same division.
And any accuracy issues with him?
You know what? He's unique because he's more accurate when he really drives the ball, like especially outside the numbers. And that's kind of unique at the college level. The touch is something he can work on, working in the middle of the field.
So Mayfield's the 4th quarterback in that
Mayfield is the wild card, is kind of the 4. I think all 4 of those guys are going to be long gone early.
Early?
I think so.
How high?
Well, you just look at the number. It's supply and demand. I mean, I know Brockman was talking about Kirk Cousins and where he lands. Maybe one of these teams is where he lands.
Well,
and that
Cousins
takes them out
and
of
Alex Smith is going to be available.
Yes. So there's a couple dominoes that could fall there, but there's still more teams in need. Then you look at the supply. All 4 of those guys, I think, are going to go.
Which team do you think that his quarterback needy top 10 might go in that Cousins or Alex Smith direction? What does the scouting community think on that front? First blush, top of January here.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think, given your druthers, I think most teams would rather go with the young guy just because, A, it's cheaper, and you've got a chance for the longevity factor, have them a lot longer. And that's going to be it's going to be tricky to see where those guys would ultimately end up. I still think the Jets. the other thing you see, maybe the Jets are a little bit shy of being aggressive and going. They've tried to roll out some young quarterbacks, hasn't worked. Maybe they would be a team that would go in that direction.
Hold on a second. If the Jets, hold on a second. If the Jets are gun shy on Baker Mayfield because of Christian Hackenberg, I will absolutely. I might go to the bathroom in my suit on the set of the NFL draft on the NFL Network Live.
I don't know if that's good. That might be good for ratings. It's not going to be good for me. I'm too close to you. You're only like 5 feet away.
Well, maybe Urban Meyer will be next to me this time around.
But no, all those guys. Then to me, there's that second tier. That's when you get to the Mason Rudolphs, the Luke Falks. We'll see.
Lamar Jackson?
We don't know if he's coming out. I'm still waiting there. And to be truthful, I still need to do a lot of work on Lamar Jackson.
All right, let's take a break here. That's the Honda Insider Report. Again, brought to you by the all-new Honda Accord. Whether you're headed to the stadium or just running out for snacks, the Accord gets you there in comfort and style with a sophisticated redesign and high-tech features like standard Honda sensing. The all-new Accord is the most impressive Honda ever. I want to get a little bit more into what we're talking about for the draft. You will be, I assume, at the National Championship game?
Yeah, I'm going to be there Monday night.
Okay, very good. You were at the Rose Bowl. You were at the Cotton Bowl. I want to hit on some of the other things that you've seen and how you stand on the National Championship game coming up right now, as well as more good stuff with Daniel Jeremiah. That is next here on The Rich Eisen Show. DirecTV's Audience Network is going to give you a chance to go back to school with a timely sports special, Big Man on Campus. It features 4 legends from each of the BCS playoff teams returning to their campus as the school prepares for the big games. We follow Taj Boyd, Jason White, Garrison Hurst, and Greg McElroy in this ESPN-produced piece, Big Man on Campus, Friday night at 8 p.m. on DirecTV's Audience Network, channel 239, and on DirecTV Now. If you, Daniel Jeremiah, second segment with the NFL Network analyst and longtime scout in the NFL, who had the best game on National Championship semifinal New Year's Day? You'd choose one. Who was the best?
I'd probably go Sony Michel. He was one of my favorite players to watch even before coming into that game. I went on a little swing, so I saw the Cotton Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, the Rose Bowl. Saquon was on another level. Vita Vea from Washington, by the way, that you talk about a freak show. I don't know if you saw that game, Rich. He's 340 pounds. He's a Haloti 2.0. He's more athletic than Haloti. He has a tackle on punt. The 340-pound man breaking down in space and making a tackle on a punt. So there's some premier players.
Let's linger a little bit on the Saquon Barkley man love here. Where does he rank on the prospect at running back coming out of college from what you have seen over your entire scouting career?
Well, one of my Adrian was one of my early years. So I think Bush was actually the year before him.
Okay.
I think I've told you this before. Reggie Bush is the highest grade I've ever given anybody. Now, in hindsight, it's too high of a grade, but I put a ginormous grade on Reggie. But then after Reggie, then was Adrian
Peterson.
Adrian Peterson is he's a unicorn. I've never seen anybody with that explosive power that he has, and not since then I haven't seen anything like that. And Saquon doesn't have that. But in terms of just an all-around running back, I'd put Saquon right underneath Adrian Peterson. And I love Ezekiel Elliott. I love Leonard Fournette. Todd Gurley, huge grade on those guys. Mm-hmm. I think this kid can be better. He's a special player.
Well, what makes him so special, do you think, that jumps out of the screen?
He's the way I said this to Bucky the other day, and it sounds crazy when you say it, but I really believe it. Mm-hmm. Everything that you've seen Alvin Kamara do on an NFL field in terms of making people miss, running away from people, being used in the pass game, he's been used in the return game, running the football. Saquon Barkley can do all those same things. He's 230 pounds.
Oh, my goodness.
He's going to run in the low 4.3s. He's going to jump through the roof. So he's an athletic freak. And then just his lateral change of direction, all that stuff. I know some people will say, well, you only had this many 100-yard games. Don't let that bother you. With what was in front of him and what teams were trying to take away, so it led to some of the limited production. He is a rare dude.
Yeah. And so, again, Browns still go quarterback one, right? You have to.
Quarterback league, man. I mean, and part of the Saquon thing, I've seen him play twice live. Mm-hmm. Tons of tape. But saw him play in the Rose Bowl last year. Mm-hmm. Pretty good.
Yes.
Saw him in the Fiesta Bowl this year. I mean, he's a freak.
And you said his lower body reminds you of who?
Well, I mean, I was around Jamal Lewis with the Ravens. He's got Jamal's lower half, which is ginormous, and he's over 6 feet tall. So he's a much taller version.
Brockman.
That's crazy.
Right?
How do you tackle that guy?
You don't.
Because he jumps over you.
Because he runs past you, too. Don't forget that.
Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you've visited with him.
I have not. I look forward to meeting him.
Ridiculously intelligent, incredible kid. We talked with James Franklin before the season. I mean, everything. He just check.
And out of the backfield, he catches the ball, right?
You can line him up in the slot.
And also this, too. He blocks.
Yes.
He's not.
Now, Zeke was a rare pass protector. He's not as good, but he's right there.
Well, he's smart enough to know what's what and get better at that.
Exactly.
And he's also smart enough to know that that's what keeps him on the field on third down in the NFL.
Yeah, I think the can't miss thing is scary. You never say it, but he's right there.
All right, so let's get into the weeds a little bit more. Senior Bowl. Did the Browns refuse to go, or did the scouting community refuse to let the Browns do it again? Because everything I hear is that some of those practices helped nobody.
Yeah,
I don't want to get air dirty scouting laundry here.
No,
I know.
But you always want to the practices. You always want to be run from an evaluation standpoint, instead of not just can they learn all the verbiage we're going to throw at them, going through walkthroughs to make sure guys. No, we want to get tons of reps so you can evaluate these guys.
Right.
Didn't really get that. I don't know the what went into the decision of who was going to coach it, but I do know that the Denver Broncos being in this game and with Baker being there, and I do believe Josh Allen will end up going there. I think he's going to be able to graduate early. So if I'm the Broncos, I'm lobbying to get both those kids on your team so you can get your hands on them for a whole week. You realize how fun this is going to be, Rich? We've got quarterbacks, we've got big-time running backs, defensive linemen.
It's funny how
awesome.
This works, guys, because he's like, you know how fun this is going to be? And when you said the Broncos can get Mayfield and Allen on their hands, I thought the Jets won too many games. I was telling you that from the
Dang it, Robbie Anderson.
Well, look, they did find some really good players.
Yes.
Okay, who, despite the noise like what I just made, played very well.
Yeah.
Okay, and the coach showed that he can coach.
Yeah.
And that kid Adams is a real thumper.
They've got two young safeties.
Okay, May and Adams got
yeah.
it. Okay, but they got it. They have to get a trigger man 6th overall. They must. They have to. There's no. Come on. I don't want to hear about a guard. I don't want to hear about a tackle. I don't want to hear about any of that stuff. They have to, right?
We'll see what's there.
Come on now. What's going to be there at 6?
I don't know. We got a long ways to go. We got to pace ourselves, Rich. This is not a four. This is a marathon, baby. This is not a 400-meter.
Do you think?
Race.
Do you think? Elway would fall in love with Kirk Cousins? What do you think? What do you think? Shanahan's whispering in his old quarterback's ear. Don't forget, I was the one who drafted him. I know what he can do. You love my system. You wanted my system. That's the guy who can run your system.
I was at the Cotton Bowl to watch Sam Darnold sitting right in front of me. And this seat was John Elway. Next to him was Gary Kubiak. Next to him was Matt Russell, who runs their personnel department. All three of them there. They all were at that game. They all went. I don't know if Kubiak wasn't there, but you had John Elway and Matt Russell at the Wyoming game to watch Josh Allen. So
he's given some look-see personally.
Yeah, and now I get a chance. They might get a
himself.
chance to coach those kids at the Senior Bowl. So. It's not great news for Paxton Lynch.
So then, hey, he had a shot.
Yeah.
He had a shot.
Yeah.
Right. Well, he might beg to differ, but so who is that quarterback that could be taken at the top of the 2nd round?
I think Mason Rudolph's a guy that a lot of people were intrigued by at Oklahoma State. He's big. He kind of reminds me. He's a little bit like Kirk Cousins. You know, I think you get him in the right spot. You could have something there.
And where do you stand on the national championship game, Georgia versus Alabama? How do you think that's going to play out?
Well, I've watched tons of tape on him. I was at that Rose Bowl and saw Georgia. I just think, when does Alabama lose street fights? That's Georgia is going to want to come out there and run it down your throat. And Alabama is so big and strong up front. They don't lose those type of games. They're more. If Oklahoma would have got to that game, I think Alabama would have been a little more vulnerable. You get in a phone booth. They don't lose those games.
That kid Fromm was spectacular.
Poised, huh?
My God, I could not believe he was in high school the year before.
Nice and poised.
So maybe he can wing it around a little bit.
Yeah, that's not Oklahoma's defense he's playing this week, though, Rich. Did you see some of the lanes that those guys were running through?
Dude, I saw Deron Payne pick one off to set up his own touchdown catch. And by the way, go down to the ground like Calvin Johnson, even put the ball down on the ground, but held on to it.
Yeah. You can. What do you get? Survive the ground. He survived the ground.
Speaking of hand size, whose hand size are? Let's get thoroughly in the weeds before we get out of this. Whose hand size we talking about at the combine?
Well, look, anytime you have that many fumbles like Darnold does, the hand size, people will be interested to see what his hand size is. And you have to remember, first 2 picks, Cleveland and the Giants, bad weather cities, bad weather divisions, they care about hand size. Dorsey coming from Green Bay, they were huge on hand size. Obviously, stopping Kansas City on the way there. But
it kind of hit me. Shouldn't we do the same combine evaluation for presidential candidates? Hand size and Wonderlic? We answer a lot. I had to say that. I don't know why.
Oh, wow.
Hey, the president is going to be at the did they announce that Trump is going to the national championship game?
I saw that yesterday.
So
I think he's going.
I have been to the World Series when Bush was there in 2001, after 9/11, and it was like truly Fort Apache, the Bronx.
So were you at the game when he threw out the first pitch?
Yeah, it was incredible.
Wow.
I will never forget it. I will never, ever forget it. But I also know what it's like when the leader of the free world comes to a big sporting event. So get there early, bud. Get there early in the ATL.
Kind of a mess, huh?
Get there early.
Hey, good news though. Mm-hmm. It's a Monday night game. Chick-fil-A. It's open.
Well, we know what Trump's having for dinner. That's for sure.
Does he lead the SEC chant, you think?
Huh?
Does he lead the SEC chant?
I can't wait. I assume you'll be able to see him in the box.
Is he going to be part of ESPN's MegaCast?
That would be great. Yeah.
He's going to sit there with Dabo and
Gary Patterson and sit next to Trump.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Let's take a break in 60 seconds. If you just got a couple more minutes,
that's cool.
What I'd like to do is I'm going to break down some film.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Nice.
But the film is Sam Darnold's farewell video that he tweeted out.
Did it get cut off short, or did I imagine that?
All I know is Spielberg definitely didn't do it for USC.
It was not great. It was not great.
Okay.
All right.
That's going to be coming up next here on this edition of the Rich Eisen Show. We are back in 60 seconds here on the program. All right, one more segment here with Daniel Jeremiah at Move the Sticks, a must-follow on Twitter. It was funny when we were going back and forth. Charlie Yook, who is in charge of all of our, pretty much this time of year, right?
Yeah. The king of the spring.
He's the king of the spring. He's one of the most talented producers that I've ever worked with, and you as well. As soon as Darnold and Rosen went, he texted me and you and Mayock, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he's all fired up. He's all excited. And he talked about, who did he say is the best, the cleanest player in the draft?
Likes Quentin Nelson at Notre Dame, the guard. He loves him.
Right.
He loves him.
And I saw one mock draft, apparently a friend of mine sent me, a Jet fan, saying, that's who the Jets are taking in the mock draft. And I'm like, don't worry. They are not taking a guard 6th overall. Right?
Charlie will have him. No, he's one of the best guards I've done. He's a great player.
I know, but you had.
I'm not agreeing with anything.
I know you had a video that you then texted out of him missing a block, right?
No, he pancaked.
He pancaked.
But Charlie didn't interpret it correctly. He thought I was making fun of him. I said he's okay sarcastically, like he's more than okay. Watch him bury this guy.
Yeah, and then Mayock came in with
throws
his
him
own.
with another tape.
Brockman, they both. Him and Mayock had ready to text out video.
We have Quentin Nelson video stored on our phone, just waiting for that opportunity.
This happened.
It's that time of year, man.
It's that time of year, man. Right? Oh, my gosh. But, yeah, the Jets aren't choosing an offensive lineman 6th overall, are they, Daniel?
I want you to be under such suspense when they get on the clock.
And
I wait.
I did just say.
Suspense or anxiety?
I would, in fact, if the Jets don't go quarterback because they're Hackenberg gun shy, I just did say I would soil myself on national television.
I hope you have a bedpan nearby.
Depends, Rich.
Thank you. Well, and it also, it depends on what the first 5 picks are doing. But
I bet you, though, that David Shaw will have something incredibly eloquent to say if you do mess your pants. I guarantee it.
Well, you probably have an app for that. Now, again, you said Elway was sitting right in front of you at the Rose Bowl?
Yeah.
With Kubiak?
Yeah, with Kubiak and with Russell. With Matt Russell.
Okay, so when Darnold announced he was coming out yesterday, you said, was the video cut off? Well, there's a minute long. Well, there's only it was a 3-minute long video that he Instagrammed out in 3 pieces.
Oh, okay. So I just saw the first.
You just saw the first piece. Yeah. Okay. So that said, the production value coming out of USC, I got to be honest with you. I mean, this is one of the ultimate film schools, right? Mike Del Tufo, right?
Annenberg is probably in the top 3, easy in the country. Yeah. Period.
Yeah, but that's a school of communication. It's not the film school.
They both know they're together. They're all tied together.
Is that right?
They have a bunch of like who?
Yeah.
They have George
Annenberg's
Lucas.
one
They have George Lucas money.
By the way, shame on me
For asking me?
you about higher
It is.
education.
They want me to go there. I get letters all the time. Yeah.
You're 100%. Can you look up what the film school is,
They
please?
want you to go
Annenberg.
there.
What do you mean they want you to
Communications.
go there?
They want me to get a degree from them as a master's.
Annenberg is
Yeah.
journalism and
They asked me.
communication.
I'll show you emails.
USC School of Somatic Arts.
Is what?
Did Dr.
Named
Dre
after?
donated a bunch of money too?
I don't know what problem. Look it up.
That's what it's called.
Jimmy
telling
Iovine donated a bunch of money there as well.
Oh my God! Anyway, so Darnold's video.
Is there a teleprompter?
It seemed like he was looking above the camera, but it seemed to us that he really wasn't speaking freely. Okay.
It was a checklist.
And so that leads us to the first ever edition here on the Rich Eisen Show of What Were They Really Thinking?
What were they really thinking?
Okay, so let me interpret this for you.
Yeah, give it to me.
Okay, here's a video number. Here's the way that Darnold's video started. Roll it.
Hey Trojan fans, this is Sam Darnold. After talking to my immediate family, very close friends, and many people who have helped me throughout my life, I have made the decision to declare for the 2018 NFL Draft.
Okay, so he's looking above the camera.
Yeah.
So leads me to think, what was he really thinking? And this is what he was really thinking. I also talked to an agent and determined that the signing bonus for Myles Garrett last year was just south of $22 million. I can make a little bit more than that this coming year and drive a Ferrari around Ohio rather than a 10-speed around South Central Los Angeles. I'm out of here. Roll tape on number 2.
And to Coach Helton, I cannot thank you enough for believing in a kid from San Clemente High School with such little game tape and for giving me the opportunity and chance to start at such an incredible university.
But if you had only started me 3 games sooner, we could have been playing for the national championship last year. What's your evaluation on
well,
that?
they were going to lose to
Jeremiah?
Alabama either way, but they would have beat Utah. So maybe, yeah.
But come on now.
He started against Utah, but having that experience before that, because he lost to Stanford, maybe they would have beat Stanford.
There could have been. They would have been
But
playing
I
for the
think they
national
would have been better
championship the way
situated.
that they were playing at the end of the
They
year
were
last
rolling.
year.
They were rolling.
Okay. Roll. Speaking of rolling, here's number 3.
I want to thank all of my teammates for believing in me as your quarterback. Just stick with the process because, as we know, the countless hours of workouts and even studying and staying up late watching film have really paid off and are going to pay off in the future.
Well,
I
certainly.
cannot be more proud to have been your teammate for 3 years now.
Yes, even though you let me get sacked 8 times in the Cotton Bowl. But please keep studying so you don't drop all those passes. What do you think?
That's good interpretation. But is he not just like a super likable dude though?
He is.
The
But I just,
likability factor's way up
it
there.
is way up there. And the folks in Ohio are going to be wondering what he's really thinking because he's not really telling us what he's thinking, certainly in the final part of his video.
Thank you to all the USC family. You have been there with us through thick and thin and have been so courteous to my family, me, and my teammates and coaches. USC is going to continue to rise and continue to build and win a bunch of championships.
It was a good run being the best team in Los Angeles all these years.
Oh, wow.
But now I will go to the state of Ohio to try and knock the Rams down a peg so you could somehow continue being the best team in Los Angeles. But I will be on an 0-16 team fighting on. How about that?
That's
Did I
pretty
mis-
good. That's
did I
very good.
misinterpret
That's
that last part?
The only thing I thought there was a little subliminal message there, which was,
Yes.
Joe Thomas, please get healthy and come back.
Don't buy the Panthers. Don't really be serious about buying the
You
Panthers.
don't want to go to that Monday night booth. Please come back.
Oh. Joe Thomas in the Monday
You
night
see all these
booth?
articles of there's like 20
Oh.
candidates, and he's always thrown in
Do
there.
scouts talk about stuff like that?
Oh, who's in the booth?
Yeah.
Yeah. What else are we gonna talk about?
About 19,000 kids that
yeah,
you're watching on
that's
film.
it's Monday
Daniel?
Night Football. That's big.
I got one name for the booth next year.
What do you got?
Tim Tebow.
Stop
Timothy
it.
Thibault?
Stop it. Stop it.
What are you talking about?
Stop.
Can I
That would
make
be
my bold?
amazing.
Can I make my bold prediction? My Monday Night bold prediction: 3-man booth, and Randy Moss will be one of the 3.
Okay. And who are the other 2?
That's bold.
I can't give you that. I just give you one.
Just give me one. Randy Moss in the booth.
I think he'll be the 3rd. He'll bring some energy, and they'll get
Okay.
kind of an X's and O's guy, maybe a former. What about Arians and Randy Moss? couple rookies in
I don't know.
But
Let me just say it this way too. Romo makes it look easier than it is.
No question.
You can't just come.
He
off the
did
field
like 9 practice games.
He was
great.
built for it. It's not easy. And Arians, it's not easy. It's to come off, the podium. You saw Rex gave some of the most incredible press conferences.
Yeah.
Entertaining, must-see TV. And then he goes in the booth with Beth Mowins, and he's just like, that was a great play.
The one thing I thought,
and it's just, at one point in Rex's game that he did with Beth Mowins, Geno Smith was in the game, and not one story about Geno Smith. And he started talking up Geno Smith until Geno had a chance to play for the Giants, and then he talked him down.
My real quick. So I was doing the Rams preseason games this year, and Raiders Rams, and they're doing a practice game. So Jim Nantz and Romo in the booth right next to us.
Yeah.
I look over, Romo full suit, looking all to the nines. Jim Nantz was in like a flowered shirt and just like some khaki pants. It was awesome.
Yeah, he's like, I called Jack Nicklaus in the Masters in '86. This is nothing for me. And Romo's like, he's treating. Well, that's another reason why Romo treated it very professionally.
No
Not saying that the guys that you're saying wouldn't.
Yeah.
He just makes it look a lot easier than it is. Yeah. DJ, thanks for coming in.
No problem, man.
Hopefully, first of many times that we have these chats.
It's going to be a fun spring. Looking forward to it.
And I'm thinking, how are the Jets going to screw it up?
We'll have an answer for you.
Okay.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.